Rise up, Coromante. Rise up, Coromante.
Greetings, Learning Journey subscribers. Thanks for your support. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so. I promise to create content that is relevant to our community. Each production takes several hours to produce, so please show your love. Imagine it's Jamaica, April 7th, 1760. The first light of dawn breaks across the cane fields. For most of the island, the morning seems quiet, but in that silence, a storm is gathering. A man named Tacky, once a royal leader in West Africa, now enslaved on a Jamaican plantation, raises his hand. Behind him, warriors move silently. They carry stolen muskets. Their faces are set with determination. Then, in an instant, they strike. Plantations fall. A British garrison is overrun. Weapons are seized. And the largest slave rebellion in the Caribbean before the Haitian Revolution has begun. But here's the question we must ask. Was this just a local uprising of desperate men and women? Or was it part of something much greater? Could it be, as historian Vincent Brown tells us, a war within wars? To answer that, we have to step back. The year is 1760, and the world is on fire. Europe is locked in the 7 Years' War. Britain, France, and Spain battling across continents. Armies march in Europe. Fleets collide in the Atlantic. Colonies from India to North America are pulled into the fight. And Jamaica? Jamaica is Britain's crown jewel. Its sugar plantations pour unimaginable wealth into the empire. But with Britain's soldiers drawn away to global battlefields, Jamaica is left vulnerable. For the enslaved, this moment of imperial distraction was opportunity. What looked like weakness in the empire became strength for those in bondage. And so, Tacky's revolt was not just rebellion. It was strategy. It was politics. It was quite literally war. He was not born into chains. He was born into power. Tacky was a Fante royal in West Africa, a paramount chief, a warlord in the kingdom of Iguafo. He commanded armies. He spoke English. He traded with Europeans. Ironically, he even sold captives from rival states, Ashanti and Zima, Ahanta, into slavery. He was part of the very system that would one day consume him. But fate turned. Defeated by rivals and their Dutch allies, he was captured, sold, and forced onto the Middle Passage. Now, imagine that fall. From chief to chattel, from royal command, to the sugar fields of Jamaica. And yet, he did not forget who he was. His rebellion was not just a cry for freedom. It was an attempt to reclaim lost sovereignty, to lead once more. Now let's step into Jamaica in 1760, a place of staggering wealth, but also of staggering cruelty. Sugar was king, and it devoured human lives. The average enslaved African survived just 9 years after arrival. 9 years. That was the cost of sugar. Charles Leslie, a visitor in 1739, wrote, "No country excels Jamaica in barbarous treatment of slaves or in the cruel methods they put them to death." And here's a fact that haunted the island. The enslaved outnumbered whites by 20 to 1. 20 to 1. So while planters drank rum and counted profits, they also lived in fear. Fear that the majority might rise up at any moment. And Tacky? He was ready to turn fear into reality. This was no spontaneous riot. This was design. This was conspiracy. Tacky and his lieutenants, Kwabadu, Sang, Sobado, Fulajati, Kwanti, met in secret. They planned in caves. They coordinated across plantations. And what did they want? Not simply escape. Not simply survival. They dreamed of creating an independent black state in Jamaica, a nation of their own.
Rise up.
While Britain fought to expand its empire, The enslaved fought to create one of their own. Easter Monday, 1760. The plan ignites. The rebels seize plantations. They storm Fort Haldane. The storekeeper is killed. Gunpowder and muskets, the lifeblood of war, are taken. Hundreds join. The rebellion spreads like wildfire. Plantations fall. Panic spreads. And then, on the far side of the island, in Westmoreland, another leader rises, Apongo. His forces erupt in defiance. This was not chaos. This was coordination, an island on the brink of transformation. But history is never simple. Enter the Maroons, communities of formerly enslaved people who had fought Britain to a stalemate years earlier. They had forced treaties that gave them autonomy, but those treaties came with a condition. They must suppress future slave rebellions. And so, in this war, the Maroons, once rebels themselves, became enforcers of empire. Maroons hunted Tacky's men through forests and valleys. At Rocky Valley, the legendary marksman Davy fired the shot that killed Tacky. His head was cut off, displayed in Spanish Town, a grotesque warning. Was this betrayal or was it survival? What choices do oppressed people make when freedom comes with conditions? The reprisals were merciless. Hundreds executed, hundreds sold away, never to see Jamaica again. Some rebels, cornered in caves near Tacky Falls, chose suicide rather than re-enslavement. Entire families were driven over cliffs. The British planter class wanted more than victory. They wanted terror. They wanted to make rebellion unthinkable. And yet, even in defeat, Tacky's revolt forced change. Colonial laws tight. Obeah, a powerful African spiritual practice, was banned under penalty of death. Movement was restricted. Surveillance increased. The enslaved had shaken the empire. So, was it a failure? On the battlefield, yes. Tacky was killed. His army scattered. But in memory, in legacy, number. Tacky's revolt was the largest in the Caribbean before Haiti. It lit a fire. It inspired future uprisings like the Baptist War of 1831, a rebellion that helped push Britain toward abolition, and today, Tacky is remembered in Port Maria. A monument stands where his revolt began. April 8th is now a day of remembrance, but the work is not finished. Activists still fight to name him a national hero, to make his story known in every Jamaican household. So, as we close, let me leave you with 3 questions. First, what does freedom mean when one group's survival demands the sacrifice of another, as with the Maroons? Second, how do we honor the voices of the enslaved when the written history comes to us through the pens of their oppressors? And third, if Tacky, stripped of his kingdom and sold into bondage, could still rise to challenge an empire, what does that say about the resilience of the human spirit? Tacky's revolt was not just a rebellion, it was a war within wars, a spark in the darkness. And though Tacky himself fell, his story reminds us, defiance can outlive defeat. Resistance can echo across centuries, and that, perhaps, is his greatest legacy. Thanks for watching. Until next time.
Drum talk, say liberty. 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 Crown to chain across the sea. Fante royal now in captivity. Sugar fields burn, the cane runs red. 9 short years and the soul is dead. Open the door, put Maria roll. Easter morning, shake the island floor. Open the door, Fort Haldane fort. Powder and musket, answer the call. Open the door, hear freedom cry. War within wars, we will never die. unite. Brothers sworn, the oath is clear. Separate country, no chains here. Open the door, Port Maria Road. Easter morning, shake the island floor. Open the door, Fort Haldan fall. Powder and musket, answer the call. Open the door, hear freedom cry. War within wars, we will never die. Maroons bound by a paper hand, hunt their brothers to guard their land. Tacky falls, but the fire remains. Blood in the soil, freedom in the veins. Open the door, Port Maria roar. Easter morning, shake the island floor. Open the door, hear freedom cry. War within wars, we will never die. Rise up, Coromante.